All right, let's get some reaction now from Ruth Wasserman, Lande, former advisor to Israeli President Shimon Peres. Ruth, good to have you, and thank you very much once again for coming on. What would have been the statements, according to your knowledge, that would have caused the Israeli government to recall its ambassador for consultation?
Well, first of all, the coalition and the leading party in South Africa, the ANC, has made very strong statements against Israel since the beginning of the events on October 7. I just want to remind the audience that what had happened on October 7th is a very long row of atrocities: murder, massacre, gang rape, beheadings, burning people alive, cutting off pieces of bodies whilst the people were being raped. My apologies for being very blunt and harsh, but these are the things that had happened. And the reason why we know that these things had happened is because the Hamas terrorists that did them actually documented them while doing what they did, and then put it up on Telegram and so on. They were proud of their deeds. Since then, the leadership of the Hamas has said again and again that they will do it again. They say it openly all the time. So given the fact that this had happened and the leadership of the Hamas is saying that they will do it again, the Israeli IDF went into Gaza. They would never have done that if this did not happen, and retaliated in a manner which, differently to what is being reported by the so-called Ministry of Health, which is Hamas in Gaza, in a manner which does not target civilians. And it's important to say that because the South African government has stated again and again very harshly that statement and you know, the statements that are being made by the South African government regarding the targeting of civilians, the issue of the bombardment of that hospital, if you recall, momentarily after the Hamas had announced that it was Israel that bombarded it, whilst it wasn't. And the whole world then showed evidence that this was not the case. It also took them 2 minutes exactly to count 500 whole bodies, although then it sort of appeared that there were many less bodies that were in that hospital, and that it was a rocket fired by the Islamic Jihad from within the Gaza Strip, actually against Israeli civilians, as they have been doing for the past 20 years. And since all of this is coming out, the South African government continues to have a very strong stand against Israel and against the only Jewish state in the entire world, saying...
So could it have been the remarks of President Ramaphosa? I mean, recently he said in South Africa, we have accordingly, together with many other countries across the world, referred the whole Israel government action to the International Criminal Court. Is that the reason why they have recalled the ambassador for consultation?
No, you just summarized wrongly what I had taken a few minutes to explain. The reason why Israel had called the Israeli ambassador back to Tel Aviv for consultation is because the South African government has, since the first moment, wrongly accused and continues to accuse Israel of war crimes. We do not perpetrate war crimes.
Yeah. But the president says we have put through a referral because we believe that because war crimes. Listen to what the statement is, because I'm responding to what you had said earlier about the South African government constantly being against Israel, saying that we believe that war crimes are being committed there, and of course we do not condone the actions that were taken by Hamas earlier, but similarly we condemn the actions that are currently underway and believe that they warrant an investigation by the International Criminal Court.
Sir, let me ask you a very, very straightforward question out of respect. If 5,000 or 4,000 armed terrorists came into your home, took your wife and your daughter, gang raped them in front of your eyes, and then cut off a piece of their breast, threw it from one to another, documented this and put this on social media, times that by 5,000.
Yeah.
What would you have your country do? Would you have them retaliate?
Yeah.
Now, you are, and South Africa is responding as if Israel is targeting civilians. We do not target civilians.
But should that also not be investigated? Shouldn't we get the International Criminal Court to investigate all those crimes? As you say, they have been committed.
You know what? Why did South Africa not call the Criminal International Court to investigate the Hamas?
They are calling for the Criminal Court to investigate all war crimes that are currently taking place in Gaza.
South African ruling party did not call the International Court to check the horrid atrocities perpetrated by the Hamas.
I'm saying to you, I'm articulating the position. The position of the South African government is that war crimes need to be investigated on both sides. That's the position.
That is not the position.
That is the position. I've just read it for you.
The position is that Israel is to blame and is perpetrating war crimes against the Palestinians. And I, as somebody who grew up in South Africa, I know and lived and felt what is apartheid. I spent my entire life fighting this horrid phenomenon. There is every day sounding a very loud declaration by South African ruling party saying that my country is an apartheid country. There are 22% Arabs in the population of this country. They vote. There are Supreme Court judges. There are parties in the parliament. They're allowed to speak out whatever they want, however much they wish to criticize the government, etc., etc., etc. 36% of all doctors and nurses here are, in fact, of Arab Muslim origin. You know, there is so much disinformation given by the South African government to its people, and its people, you the people, you know what is injustice. Injustice is the way that South African government judges Israel. Israel, I cannot even begin to relate how Israeli army officers are protecting Gazan civilians so that they are able to escape the bombardments. Who are they protecting them from? With my own eyes, I saw this. Who are they protecting them from? From the shootings of the Hamas.
Removing premature babies from a hospital, I hardly call that protection.
But, okay, thank you for giving me that example. They didn't remove the premature babies. The Hamas was keeping them, as God is my witness, as human shields.
Yeah.
The staff
but these reports have not been verified.
What did Israel do?
Ruth, these reports have not been verified by any independent body. It's only Israel that is giving us that perspective.
Please. No, it's not only Israel. The BBC was allowed in there to film.
So why wouldn't you not allow the International Criminal Court to investigate?
You can check. Not the International Criminal. You can check the Shifa Hospital, a British doctor that served there for several years. He had a testimony not on Israeli media, on France 24, which is one of the most critical media channels in the world against Israel, like most international media. He said that there were places that he would not allow to even go near because he would be shot. This is a hospital. The Hamas had a whole headquarters under that hospital, including babies. You know what the IDF did? We brought incubators to the hospital. We, Israel, brought incubators to the same staff that allowed the Hamas to perpetrate these heinous acts. And there are videos videos not from our cameras, from the cameras of the hospital, showing the terrorists coming with the kidnapped civilians into a hospital. So you are telling me that we are wanting to evacuate the poor premature babies out of that place of death. It's not a hospital.
We've had here in South Africa a doctor who's been working in Gaza's largest hospital, Al-Shifa. You know him, Dr. Meds Gilbert. He negates all these claims that you're saying regarding the presence of a Hamas command control base at the facility.
I would love to have the opportunity, because something very, very serious that I want to say. I would never, ever be on camera and say something that is a lie. It's my own, professionalism. It's my own name.
So why would a doctor who have worked at the hospital for 16 years lie about the claims that he's saying?
I have no idea. You need to check.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this alone. There are evidence to really support what I'm saying. And again, this is not documentation by Israeli media or Israeli IDF soldiers. This is the cameras from the hospital itself. And not only that, you give me one doctor, I give you another doctor. This is not the issue. The issue is that
then we need an independent body to go then and investigate and verify these claims.
Let me reiterate again the situation. Israel was horridly attacked on October 7th. Uninstigated attack. The perpetrators of this attack have a murderous platform which they write openly in Arabic that they would like to destroy the entire, not Gaza, the entire state of Israel. This is not a freedom issue, because there was not one IDF soldier or one Jew in the entire Gaza Strip. Not one. Not one. Since 2005. So they say openly, it's not me saying, they say, they want to destroy the entire country and every single person of them. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free of Jews. This is genocide. Okay? And we live in this genocidal atmosphere, giving incubators to babies, protecting the civilian population, some of which supported the actions that the Hamas did on October 7th and received those operatives with candy and celebrations. But some probably did not. They were just human beings. Either way, we, the soldiers, protected those people going southwards because the Hamas was shooting at them, not letting them go. This is the crazy reality, the surrealism. You want, and your country, which I love and respect, not your country actually, it's not the people, I don't believe. They're being fed and nurtured with a lot of disinformation. And I'm saying with love. The people of South Africa know what is injustice. The injustice in this story is that of a murderous terrorist entity that cares nothing.
How many terrorists? How many
Nothing.
How many tunnels and how many terrorists were discovered at the Al-Shifa hospital after its bombardment? Because now it's under the control of Israel.
Are you examining how many tunnels? Is one tunnel enough for you,
no,
sir?
I'm asking you.
Or are 15 enough?
I'm asking you now. The hospital is in the control of Israel. So how many tunnels and how many Hamas were found under those tunnels?
So the tunnels are now being uncovered. If you doubt that they are uncovered, which I hear in your question, it's a pity because it's all there. It's there. There are already pictures being shown. It's a pity that you are going that way and to that narrative. But, you know, this is what you choose to do. Unfortunately, I do not respect that. And there is already proof of this issue. If it's one tunnel or 15,000 tunnels, Should there be a war tunnel, an attack tunnel, a huge amount of ammunition and guns under a hospital? Do you know any hospital in South Africa that has an ammunition storage or a tunnel, even one? I don't. In Israel, we don't have that.
And how many Hamas have been discovered and arrested in those tunnels?
Many. And also a lot of the civilians, so-called civilians, that we protect going southwards, some of them are also Hamas, dressed in civilian clothing. Okay? Also, when the Ministry of Health of Gaza, which is controlled by Hamas, is giving figures. They talk about so and so many numbers of civilians. It's not ever spoken of armed terrorists, ever. In other words, there's not one armed terrorist in the whole of Gaza.
So
Does that make sense to you?
So you're saying the 9,000 injured, the 4,000 reported missing,
9,000 is the number that the
100
Hamas
plus
gave.
premature babies that are being reported. You're saying those numbers, they negate to count the terrorists. The terrorists are amongst those numbers?
No, the babies cannot be terrorists. And it's a pity, again, you are going in that direction, which is cynical and completely irrelevant. Babies are not terrorists, and we had evacuated the babies, what the Hamas would not allow the hospital staff to do themselves. We helped to evacuate them. We brought incubators to the Al-Shifa hospital. That's what we did with the babies. We helped the elderly and other civilians move from the northern part to the southern part in order for them to escape bombardments. Why? Because we are ethical and we care about people and life.
If that is so, then why let the investigation then be carried out? Then South Africa is correct to refer this to the ICC for an investigation.
But it's not an issue of the ICC and the investigation. Don't you see? It's the whole accusation of the South African government from beginning until this very moment, including in this interview, saying that Israel is the perpetrator. Perpetrator of what? It's a defensive war. I asked you, sir, if your house was invaded, your family would have undergone the gang rape that some of the women had undergone, and this is recorded by the terrorists, not by Jews.
Yeah.
It was recorded by them. This is the only way it was known.
Yes. No, there is no one.
What would you have your government do?
There is no one who says Israel has got no right to protect itself. But the military operation
How would you protect itself? How would you protect
is conducted now
by giving
has gone
flowers
beyond
to
the
the
bounds
Hamas?
of protecting the Israelis. It has gone to the bounds of killing 13,000 people. And the South African government saying this is beginning to look like genocide and it should be investigated.
First of all,
I would welcome that. Would you welcome that?
The word genocide was not heard from you or your government when the Hamas did what they did. That is genocide. And when they say that they want to kill all the Jews, that is genocide. The 30,000, I don't know where you take that number from, but that is from those figures that are flying around are from the Hamas Ministry of Health. It's the same Ministry of Health.
No, it's from the it's from the Palestine government. In fact, it's 15,000 that they're giving.
Do you know exactly? And do you know what is the Palestine government? It's the Hamas, because they rule in Gaza. So the Ministry of Health is the Palestinian leadership, which in Gaza is the Hamas. So they're the ones that are flying around with these numbers. They're the same ones that said that Israel bombarded the hospital. The same ones that gave the absolute wrong number of 500 casualties 2 minutes after the bombardment, which was Islamic Jihad rockets. 2 minutes they managed to count 500 bodies. And you believe and you quote and requote their numbers. Why?
Because I've just asked you your numbers. You're not willing to give me.
My numbers are
Yes.
1,238 innocent Israelis, unarmed, were butchered.
How many Palestinians have been butchered?
We don't know.
Let's leave it there, Ruth. Much appreciated. Thank you for your time. That's Ruth Wasserman Lande there, former advisor to Israeli President Shimon Peres.